what's up, guys? Make sure to smash that like button.
What's up, everybody? It's Nick with GameTyrant. I'm sitting here with Ryan, Mick, Dean, and Ross as well. We are sitting here because we want to bring to you kind of our impressions on these days leading up to the first day of E3 and our impression of the first day of E3. We're going to start with first talking about the Microsoft conference. So that being said, we have someone here who's, would you say biased? But I think we have Ryan. I think you play Xbox, right?
About the only person in all of GameTyrant that plays Xbox. So
False. I own one, and I'll play it with friends. But anyways, so first I want to get your opinions of it and see what you think and what game stood out to you the most.
I thought it was their weakest conference in a couple of years. My biggest excitement is original Xbox backwards compatibility as a collector. But standouts for me are I don't even remember the conference anymore.
That's how bad it was. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Give me a second. I honestly can't remember.
Well, what Sea of Thieves was a big one everybody was talking about.
Assassin's Creed Origins. I think that's probably the first time I've been interested in that franchise since 2. Super Lucky's Tale. I wasn't too impressed by that, but I'll get into more comments about that game later. And then,
what about that the list of exclusives that they showed off?
so most of them were timed exclusives, but good for them. They came prepared. They have a ton of games. So I mean, they showed the most games off of any press conference.
Really sold me on that.
Really
Conference.
great conference.
I told you it was their weakest conference already.
What about the Xbox One X? Dude, we sat. This guy sat in this apartment talking about the Xbox One X, most powerful console of all time. 32 teraflops. That's, to my knowledge, the most teraflops you've ever seen
I'll tear you.
in a console. $499.
Okay, here,
$4.99.
here, give me that. Let's do this legit. Let's go. Okay, so Microsoft press conference, they led off with Scorpio, showing us what the box looks like. Smallest Xbox ever made, and that wasn't an exaggeration. It was actually ridiculous how small this thing is, even compared to the S. So that's pretty cool. Price point, everyone's complaining about $499. I mean, yeah, it's steep, but I mean, compared to the Pro at $400, it makes sense with what you're getting. Because again, it is the most powerful console on market. I hate buzzwords, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, even though they showed a ton of games, it was mostly indie stuff that I personally am not interested in. So to me personally, as a bigger Xbox player than most other consoles, it wasn't my favorite Microsoft conference.
And how about Dean? Did you watch it?
I did not.
Did not watch
I
it.
missed the Microsoft.
He missed it. How about you, Ross?
Saw a little bit of it. Saw them show off Metro, which I think they said that was running on Xbox One X. Yeah, that looked pretty dope. I'm really interested to see the difference of what X is gonna make it play and look compared to the Pro. Assassin's Creed Origins. I've loved Assassin's Creed since 2, but kind of fell out of the franchise. Origins seems, honestly, it looks a lot of the same. I really thought they were gonna completely flip it and come out with some pretty new features, but I don't know. Maybe they can still surprise me. We'll see. Hopefully we can get our hands on that tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be nice. What about you, Mick?
All right, so I feel like the most slept-on announcement out of this was Minecraft, and not because of like what Minecraft was, but like just opening up the crossplay, and they learned that Nintendo Switch is going to be a part of the Microsoft crossplay, which is huge because obviously first time that's really like been done, and it's interesting because it seems like Sony and Microsoft are playing this game where they're playing upon the Switch. They're both accepting that the Switch is going to be successful, and they're kind of using that to see who can offer the most integration with the Switch. And I think that's going to be something we're going to be only seeing more of, which makes me excited as a Switch owner. But yeah, no, definitely very excited to see Microsoft wanting to include Switch fan base in on their games. So that, for me, that was the biggest part.
Okay. Yeah, and to touch on that too, I mean, I think the only, because they talked about mobile, tablets, everything except for PlayStation. Like everything but PlayStation is going to be crossplay.
Yeah.
So
The
it,
question now is, was that Microsoft's choice where they have offered the open invitation to Sony for crossplay, or was that still Sony being like, nah, dude, we don't need to?
it's easy to speculate, but at the end of the day, we really don't know how it played out. It could just be an issue with royalties or other things that could have played into it. But at the end of the day, I think honestly the best part of the Microsoft conference was something that we could have seen in a prior conference. That was Anthem. That was my favorite part of the conference because I'm a big Destiny player. I love BioWare games, and honestly, when those two come together, it looks fantastic. Another thing that really stood out to me was a lot of the indie games, even though I'm not a huge indie game player, like good old Dean is over here, but I was really impressed with the artwork in these games. We have the game, what was it, Last Night? Looked crazy awesome. Me and Mike from Dark Pixel were freaking out about it because we were like, man, that looks so good. 8-bit over like crazy scenery. And the Cuphead looks like you're literally playing a game, like playing a cartoon. Like you can't tell the difference. It's so crazy. So honestly, I'm more excited about Microsoft's indie games more than their AAA games, which is really sad to say. But yeah, that was that night. The next day we had Sony. Sony had a very different conference. They showed a lot of games too, not quite as much as Microsoft did.
But they changed up their press conference instead of because after E3 2013, Microsoft tried to make it so there was less talking, more trailers. And so Sony couldn't do that because they were all of a sudden console leader again, so they had to give out more info. But this E3, they took that approach and had the guy on stage for 2 minutes and then just trailer after trailer.
Yeah, I mean, he came out not even at the beginning. They literally came out swinging right at the beginning with Uncharted, and then he came out after a couple. I think it was like 2 or 3 games, and then he came out for a minute, and then he went back. And he came back out and said, "Hey, these are my favorite games." Like, all right, peace. And then left. And then the rest of it was just games. And it was ended. And it was weird for me because usually at conferences they come out and say, "Thank you for coming out." Like, "Thank you guys." And that didn't happen. So when it ended, I was like, "Okay, is there like another game?" Like I was like, "Wait, I was like, okay, another game, another game."
By the end of the conference.
But I don't know. My opinion of it is, I mean, I love PlayStation games. I grew up playing a lot of PlayStation games on PS3. I own all consoles now because I'm trying to, get in the field for both consoles. But more importantly, Spider-Man was everybody's buzzword at that event. So Spider-Man looked at the what was it? A buddy of mine, Doc Gamer, he was in one of the first seasons of the tester. He had said the reason Nathan Drake's not in the new Uncharted is because he's taking a break to be Spider-Man. Because if you think about it, the scene where he's running through the office building, it looks remind me of Uncharted. Totally remind me of Uncharted. And I don't know, that game really impressed. I think all games had great. It left me with all games. Left me with the want to play them. I didn't get that same feeling with Microsoft, nor did I get the feeling that I wanted to get an Xbox One X. I have an Xbox One. I don't even have an S, but nothing really sold me to get the Xbox One X. Yeah, I have a 4K TV, and I should be yeah, freak yeah, I want to get this, but I just didn't get the feeling like I needed to upgrade, especially for $499, which I think is the biggest fall down.
Have you upgraded to a Pro?
I have not upgraded to a Pro because that's the thing. I'm not saying that it's any worse than a Pro, but I'm just saying neither of them impressed me enough to buy an additional thing, which is why I haven't bought an additional one.
That's why I wanted to
Mick, so the other day we were going at it, me and Ryan, about this because he's very, 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 I wouldn't say loyal, but he's very passionate about Microsoft. I'm very passionate about PlayStation. And we were going at it pretty good about that. But that said, Ross, what were your thoughts on the Sony conference?
Sony conference, it was great. I mean, I was a little hurt that I didn't get any news about Last of Us Part 2. Still waiting on that. But, when I was talking to Ryan, and Ryan had mentioned, Sony had the tendency to announce games that aren't coming out for eons. Last Guardian. But
Final Fantasy Versus 13.
right. And it seems like I think even at the Microsoft conference, majority of those games coming out this year or early 2018. So that's definitely a good trend. Keeps people hyped and not people, oh, well, this looks really cool, but it's probably not going to come out for another like 3 or 4 years. So it's definitely good to avoid that.
Can I elaborate on that real quick?
Sure.
Because then you end up in the situation where they show the same game for multiple E3s. Halo 5, they teased it. Next year we got Halo 5 again. Who cares? So, I mean, the longer they have to keep trailering a game, I don't know. I'd like to see stuff that's coming out within the next year.
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh, and sorry, did you want to finish? Sorry, go ahead.
Actually, I was thinking, man, I don't think I have anything else to say. And I was like,
I'm glad you took the mic back to me.
So, no, that's it. I mean,
Spider-Man was cool.
Spider-Man's cool. And mic drop. What about you, Dean? What do you think?
I would have to say I did see what they said that Death Stranding wasn't going to be here when they announced that. At first, I was upset, but it made sense because if they're not ready to bring something new, we don't need more trailers. Just like Ryan was saying, we don't need trailer after trailer. We know the game's coming. We know it's in development. We would like to see how close it is to being completed. I think it would be best if E3 conferences could start showing just what's going to be launched before the next E3, because that's kind of the whole purpose of the conferences. But as far as what they did show, God of War will have a full opinion article eventually, but I have a lot of issues with it. It's no longer Greek mythology. That's a problem for me. It really is. That's the whole point. I don't care. I don't care. All right, it doesn't matter. It's a different gameplay. He doesn't have the chain axes. It's a completely different style. They showed the recent gameplay they showed a few more elements of hack and slash, which is better than what they used to show, which was Last of Us with a God of War mod on it. So I'm glad to see that they're bringing a little bit of hack and slash, but it's still incredibly different and doesn't match it. The giant snake makes no sense. But it's fine. They want to change it or whatever. We'll see. As long as, I guess, if it's fun, but it just doesn't make sense story-wise. Spider-Man, when you were talking about it, it does look really good. The quick time, I hope there's less quick time than there is actual fighting. They showed a lot of it in the trailer. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's just Spider-Man's always been action-packed, and you want an action game. You want to be able to actually throw the punches or spin the web. You don't want to have to, hit square because it came up on the screen real quick and then watch a movie of it. Where that'd be fine if like 5, maybe 10% of the game has it, but I hope it's not the entire thing or even like 20% of it. But overall, the conference was good. I am hyped about Spider-Man, even if it ends up being like that. It's not going to be a game ruiner. And I do want to play the God of War. I'm not saying that's bad either. It's just not following their own story. But a lot of the things they're showing is really good. I'm really hyped. So hoping next year they bring out some more Death Stranding stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, Mick, last again. I got to hear it.
Well, I didn't get to talk about Sony conference yet.
You've talked enough. For me, I think the cool part was Monster Hunter Worlds. Monster Hunter coming back to the Sony franchise. Looked a lot more polished than what we've seen with Capcom and Nintendo. It looked impressive. They got this big-ass dragon just like sitting out on the show floor. Absolutely massive. It gets you excited about seeing, and people are lining up for the game. So you see fans are excited to see a franchise make its return. I think that was something that Sony did well. That better than everybody else was just putting a spotlight on the return of things that haven't been seen in a while. In comparison, do you want to talk now?
I want to talk now.
You got some things you got to say.
I just want to bring up one thing. So, speaking of things that are returning, Shadow of the Colossus remake.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, yes.
He didn't say anything critical.
None of us.
Not yet.
No. I have nothing critical to say about it, but I just want to say that game is like Twilight Princess. It's just on every system now.
Yeah. Not gonna say anything critical, but
Nah, dude. When a game is timeless, it deserves to be played. When a game is that good, it deserves to be played. So, yeah, I mean,
Let's not actually drop the mic. All right, so then today, Nintendo had the Nintendo Direct conference. I did not have an opportunity to watch, so I'm going to let you guys take the floor on this one. Go ahead, Mick.
All right, so no disrespect to the first two talked about, but Nintendo's like, okay,
He's got to take this one seriously.
we gotta be serious about this, because the first thing that I had to deal with after this conference was like, but what about the third party? Nintendo announced a new Metroid game, a new Kirby game. They got a sequel to Yoshi's Woolly's World. They got Zelda DLC on the way. They have a mainland Pokemon game on the way. There's probably like, another new Kirby game on the way. They got all this stuff happening where it's like the third party is going to come regardless. They've sold enough consoles that's going to be something that slowly gets integrated in. But the point is that Nintendo is back to focusing on what the core of their audience likes, what people loved about Nintendo. And they're making those games. They're not making you wait for them. They're bringing us, in fact, like a lot of them very like within the next year. These are all like coming towards us, which I was really happy about. Of course, Super Mario Odyssey. Ka-chow. Got this.
I was okay until he started laughing.
It's Super Mario Odyssey. It can't be stated enough just how different this game. Like, it's like all the stuff you loved about Super Mario Galaxy, all the stuff you loved about Super Mario 64, but they've like polished it and they've turned this world that doesn't even make sense. Like, it's like Sonic, where they had like humans in Sonic World, except Mario's just like this short dude living in a world where people look normal and attractive. And like, but it works. What? It works so well. And it's just filled with Easter eggs. I played the demo today and I was just like floored by it. There's throwing the hat on people and like taking over their bodies. Everybody has special abilities. It's such like a unique take on the Mario formula, while at the same time remaining what makes Mario so great. So like for me, I mean, obviously I'm into Nintendo in general, but like I was more impressed with them than I have been in like the past 5 years. Like, hands down, it was my favorite Nintendo conference and probably my favorite of E3.
It was a good Nintendo conference.
I didn't watch it, but I can't believe that. I'm just kidding. Nintendo's great.
We got the whole trifecta here. I mean, I lean more towards Xbox, Nintendo, Sony. There we go. We got the whole team.
Did you watch the Nintendo conference?
I watched bits of it. I saw parts of the Zelda DLC that looked really awesome. Heroes Path mode looks interesting. I want to see more about that. Yep. Give me that. I don't trust you no mo.
B-roll. We can cut that, right?
Metroid Prime 4, yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Metroid Prime 4 got announced. I'm a little disappointed it's not being made by Retro, but that means Retro's working on something super duper top secret, so that'll be cool. And then Metroid 2 remake for 3DS. So, I mean, we got AMR2 that just came out and taken down. Now we understand why they went after it so forcefully. So I'm excited about that. I haven't played through Metroid 2 in quite a while because, let's be honest, that game's hard on Game Boy. Then I didn't see any of the Kirby stuff. I just saw the Metroid stuff in the Zelda DLC, so I'll pass it off to someone else now.
You guys watch Nintendo conference?
Yeah, I saw a bit of it. That third party dough. Where it at dough?
Ubisoft. Rocket game.
Well, that's really gonna push the system.
Oh, come on, man. FIFA 18.
I mean, no, I'm not against Nintendo. I thought they actually had a strong show compared to previous years. I mean, definitely showed a lot more confidence than previous years, which they should. Considering the success with the Switch. But to be honest, I'm looking forward to next year. I want to see exactly who's on board, taking some of these franchises and bringing it to Switch. We all know Elder Scrolls, Skyrim. Yeah, sorry. Skyrim's coming. That's confirmed, which was awesome. But that's it. It's like, what else? What else is coming? We need it.
Yeah. Can we talk about that Bethesda conference real quick?
Yes, but Dean, did you?
I'm looking forward to Mario.
You heard it here, folks. Dean's looking forward to Mario. Yeah, let's just take it because that's one last thing we're going to talk about right now is the Bethesda conference, because it stood out above the other ones because I didn't really get much from the Ubisoft conference or any of the other conferences. EA had a great showing of Battlefront. That's pretty much most of what I got from that one. But Bethesda had a lot of good stuff. So I'll let you just close out on Bethesda, and we'll go from there.
So Bethesda was the first conference I got to go to here at E3. My first time being here. So the Bethesda Land event, everything about it was pretty freaking like cool. Like I thought it was awesome. The conference, I thought it was pretty great. And then of course I hop online and people are upset. And so I start to think about it. Why would people be upset about this conference? And then I realize, oh, because they're not here experiencing the carnival. They're not here experiencing this. Bethesda's showing this year honestly should not have been streamed. Like, just the way it was directed so much towards the people that actually got to attend. So I can understand the gripes, but if you were there, like that's probably my favorite conference of the whole show, just because of how out there they went. Like they just went above and beyond every other company at this entire event so far.
Didn't they have food, like themed?
Oh, themed food for every one of their franchises. Different like areas, like they had Quake Champion set up. They just went above and beyond. Elder Scrolls Online, Morrowind on demo. Like, yeah, it seriously was like above and beyond anything I've seen from any other E3 showing to date.
And it wined and dined is the word that comes to mind, and I was easily wined and dined. But here's the thing. I gave that show a perfect score because even though people have gripes about it, but I couldn't think of anything else that I wanted to see that wasn't there. Yeah, they showed me what I was expecting. I think we're, as gamers, are very spoiled by getting these surprise announcements. But overall, I think it was a solid conference, regardless if I was there or not. So at the end of the day, that's how I felt about it. And I think that we had great conferences year E3. And we'll have another video here showing you about day 1, 2, and 3. So be sure to check back. And also click down there, click that subscribe button, that like button, that comment. Hit us up. Seriously. We love to hear from you guys and want to hear more from you. So we'll see you next time.